नमस्कार, आप सभी का IAS भारत में स्वागत है। हमारे फ्री क्रैश कोर्स को ज्वाइन करने के लिए गूगल फॉर्म को फिल करें जो कि नीचे डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में दिया गया है। धन्यवाद।
So hello dear students, a very warm welcome again to our special series of 120 plus club, and I am here with you, your mentor, your educator Sonali Jha. I have secured rank 89 this year, and today in this session I will start with the international relations section, specifically for the mains 2026, which is just around 1 to 1.5 months ahead. So it will be a series of 3 lectures which I will be taking, and I'll cover the entire portions of mains that will be required for your international relations. Okay, so again a very warm welcome, and let's get started with this session. Okay, so as I was telling you in the mains orientation itself, this series by IAS BHARAT, which was formerly IAS BHARAT, the new unit of IAS Academy, and formerly we were planning, which we are just like going with, our plan is to cover all the main specific subject, okay, all the main specific subject to be covered with specific lectures of all the subtopics. ठीक है, तो this is a part continuing with that. This is a part of the mains crash course 2026 students. Okay, you can see it is an initiative of 120 plus club. Not to reiterate again, what is 120 plus club? This is our strategy. This is our our gift to aspirants who are giving mains either this year or the next year. For what? For making sure that they secure at least 120 in all the GS. Okay, although it's difficult, but with the guidance that we are trying to provide, I feel that it is much possible. Okay, so I welcome you again to this 120 plus club class. Okay, and this is an initiative by IAS BHARAT, as you all know, a unit of IAS Academy, mains crash course. Okay, and today I am here with you to do the part of international relations. Okay, GS2 paper mein there are 3 sections, as you all know. There is polity and constitution. After polity and constitution is the social justice and governance, and finally there is international relations. Okay, so I am taking international relations, and in 3 lectures, okay, approximately it will be around 2 hours. In 3 lectures I'll cover all the major topics of international relations, all the major topics. So anyone who is either giving 26 ka prelim mains or 27 mains, okay, 26 mains, well and good, 3 lectures you will be sorted with your international relation, you will be sorted. Okay, and even if you are giving the the mains of 27, still a very good insightful session. Okay, so let's get started. ठीक है, so now coming on to the syllabus. Okay, just like I always tell, we'll start with the syllabus. Okay, we'll start with the syllabus of GS2 international relations. Now why? This is because students, I already told you, that 2 are your instruments to excel in this exam. What are those 2 instruments? The first being your syllabus. Okay, your syllabus being the first instrument, and the second being PYQs. And this is what the 120 club is about. Okay, this is what the 120 club is about, that your syllabus and PYQs, we are teaching in consonance with that, making sure all the themes, all the probable topics are covered. Okay, so now today what I will be covering, and we'll just see first the syllabus. ठीक है, so we'll see the syllabus. We are going up with the syllabus, so pay attention. I'll be reading, and along with me you have to pay attention. ठीक है, so first topic क्या है? UPSC official syllabus. The first topic of international relations being what? India and its neighborhood, the relations. Okay, the first topic, India and its neighborhood. Now what does India and its neighborhood means? What is India and its neighborhood? India and its neighborhood means mostly the South Asian neighbors that we are. ठीक है, the South Asian neighborhood including Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka. These are our more proximate, the closest of our neighbor. Okay, so that will be the first topic. ठीक है, that will be the first topic. The second topic is the bilateral the regional and the global groupings as well as agreements. Okay, now bilateral means between two countries. Okay, regional means a part of the globe, like South Asia or like the Indo-Pacific or like the Latin America. So these are a part, so that will be included in the regional groupings. And third is the global groupings. Okay, the third being the global grouping. So any grouping or agreements will be dealt in this topic. Now also the sub part is what? That involving India or effective India's interest. So what is the sub part? That any agreement that is involving India. This part is very important. We cannot mindlessly read. That is what is the problem of international relations. Generally students have this doubt that ma'am, actually the syllabus is so vast. If we see India's relations, so, or let's say if we see India in any body or group, then there are so many bodies. Say if this is a topic of global grouping and agreements, so you can see that on the globe, in the international arenas, there is a large number of groups. Okay, there are large number of groups, n number of groups, but generally the point is India's. We are studying the international perspective from India's perspective. We have to see the groupings or the agreements where India's interest is affected. Okay, so the groupings or the agreements where India is involved. So we are generally concerned with that. Okay, now next third topic is effect of policies and politics of developed and developing nations on India's interest. Okay, and the Indian diaspora. Okay, so the Indian diaspora. So these are the topics. Okay, the policies and the politics of developed as well as developing countries and how India gets involved. Again, from India's perspective we have to prepare. And another topic which is important is India's diaspora. Okay, India's diaspora. So these together make how many? These together make your three major topic, and India's diaspora being a other important topic on which questions are been coming on the recent years. Okay, now going on to next, that is the important institutions, agencies, forums and their overall structure and mandate. Okay, their overall structure and mandate and the international bodies, etc. So this is the detailed syllabus. ठीक है, this is the detailed syllabus, and in 3 lectures including today 1 and 2 more lectures you will be done with this entire section. ठीक है, okay. Now this has been presented by me, Sonali Jha. Now let's move on further. Okay, so we have seen the topics. Now we go on to the 120 plus club books. Again, I'll take a bit of your minute. Okay, just a bit of your minute, not to promote but to tell you, because this is the time, especially for the mains aspirant who will be very confused. They will not get many resources. So there is one such resource on which you can rely, that is 120 plus club book. Okay, this is our a kind of feature, you can say, the 120 plus club books. What is this? What is this, students? I'll just show you. I have a book of ethics here. Okay, let's say this is GS2 Polity and Governance. Okay, this is GS2 Polity and Governance. Now what this book is about? Two things. This will cater your mains preparation. How this will cater your mains preparation in terms of the PYQs and in terms of the syllabus. That is, this is the do not miss series book. Okay, now this is a one-stop solution. What it means, that what this book has, now let me tell you. Okay, now, okay, so see, this has all the major PYQs and their model answers segregated topic wise. Okay, all the major PYQs with their model answer and segregated topic wise. Okay, and what else, that you will get all the current affairs also in those model answer. ठीक है. So why it is important and why, you know, I am telling, you know, I am just focusing on this book, and that comes in many like subjects. Right now, till now we have 2-3 subjects, and others are in designing. Okay, so what all it has 15 years of academic excellence. ठीक है. Research driven studying material it is. Okay, PYQ integration mostly, and UPSC syllabus and examination trends. So it's a combo, you can say, of the syllabus. It's a combo of syllabus plus PYQs plus what else? Your current. Okay, so it's a combo of all this. If someone who is in very much need of any topic, you can come, especially 2026 mains aspirant, you can come. It is available free of cost, and we are giving courier delivery also. Okay, I'll just tell you how to do it. Okay, ठीक है. So PYQs plus your syllabus plus your current, everything has been included in that book, in the 120 plus club book. Okay, and that has all the datas, your facts, your reports, your all value addition, which is important for your mains answer. Then further we have exam oriented content in it and conceptual clarity, giving also the templates or the framework for answer writing. So I will say this is a one stop solution. Now what in this we are actually, you will say, ma'am, we also need this book. Very welcome to you, anyone who needs this book, very welcome. Now for the students, if you see, student support initiative is that we are giving freely this book for UPSC Mains 2026 aspirant, that too with courier facility. Okay, so you can take your copy, and for the 27 aspirants also it's there, but only the first 127 aspirant will get it free. And this year please come UPSC Mains 26 aspirant, you can call or DM your detail on the WhatsApp for courier. So it's a one-stop solution. If anyone is in urgent need of an integration of syllabus plus PYQs plus current affairs plus all the data, I comment one-stop solution, this 120 club book, and you can just directly message the WhatsApp number and you will get your copy. Okay students, now just a bit more about this thing about our social media. If someone wants to like connect or get to know about, you know, about the courses, etc. So this is our Instagram, our Telegram, and our YouTube handle. Okay, so especially why YouTube handle is important, because whatever classes are going will be available on YouTube. So the YouTube handle is here. Okay, and then you have Telegram and Instagram, so you can join the community, and I promise you will get a lot of good resources. Okay, lot of good resources are there. Now next, and this was the book that I was talking about, again the one-stop solution, the Do Not Miss series, culminated with 120 plus club, to make sure that it is a one-stop solution for PYQs, for, you know, thematic preparation, and for also the content. So you can see that, you know, if you see, so all the major content will be covered, and till now these are the three major which are there. Okay, we have governance, we have polity, and we have ethics. Ethics mein to it's a one stop solution, but we'll go on further with more. Okay, and these are some testimonial of our toppers. If you see Gigi, who is AIR 25 the last year, then we have Vikas Kundu sir, this year's topper, then we have Rohin sir, and many more who have given their testimonials. Okay, that they have used these resources, they are very, you know, good for handling any 15 marker statistics, data, etc. So this was about the testimonials. Okay, now for today's course, which is on international relations. Okay, and today I'll be covering two major topics of today's class. Okay, just a second. So today's agenda, what all we'll cover today. Okay, so I have shown you all the syllabus topics. On today's list will be two major topics. Okay, the first will be India and its neighborhood. India and its neighborhood. The first topic will be India and its neighborhood, the overall relations. Okay, this will be the first topic for today class. The second will be international relations fact sheet. Okay, so I'll be covering these two topics in detail today, showing you line by line, showing you topic by topic, and then there will be two more classes and we'll cover all the topics. Okay, now this fact sheet, this is very important from mains 2026 as well as 2027 aspirants. It's very important. Okay, this will concisely cover all the major details about whatever will be important for writing in your answers. Okay, for writing in your answer, writing in the sense that whatever is the value addition in terms of data, statistics, everything I will cover. Okay, so this will be for today. Okay, so international fact sheet, we'll come to this later on. Okay, we'll first go on with the most important first topic that we'll be starting, and that will be India and its neighborhood. India and its neighborhood will be our first topic, and then we'll in the next hour, okay, we'll first cover the first topic, and then after that we'll come to the another topic, which is the neighborhood, which is the fact sheet. Okay, till then, just a second. It's a very factful book. Okay, factful book in terms that it has all the major, the keywords, the fact, etc. Everything has been written. Okay, everything has been written. So you can say if you have to cover one-stop solution, if you have to cover one-stop solution, so you can refer to this. Okay, so today's topic taken by me, the very first topic is India and its neighborhood. Okay, India and its neighborhood. India and its neighborhood, the relations. India and its neighborhood, the relation. And I'm starting with some questions. I'm starting with some question discussion. Okay. So these are practice questions, you can say. Okay, these are practice questions which are based upon PYQs, and these are a part of Do Not Miss series. Okay, so this is in question answer format. I'll be first, I'll just first try to explain you the question and its answer, and then we'll also see the content and what not to miss. Okay, and this is a part of 120 plus club and Do Not Miss series. So all the topics which we'll be covering here, are extremely important from the sense that they can come in your coming mains. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so the very first topic will be about Indo-Pak relations, Indo-Pakistan relations, and the Indus Water Treaty. The Indo-Pakistan relations and the Indus Water Treaty. Okay, so if you see the question, the question is, while the Indus Water Treaty is often cited as a model of successful water diplomacy, it is increasingly under strain due to contemporary climate and security realities. In this context, evaluate India's recent notice to Pakistan to modify the treaty and also discuss the legal, the strategic and the humanitarian implications for both the countries. Okay, so this is a large question, this is a big statement question, and such question also comes in your UPSC mains. So again, if seeing it again, now if in real exam I would be reading this, so I would be at least highlighting the portions like this. Okay, I'll be highlighting the portions like this, like how, if you see that Indus Water Treaty is cited as a, first part is that Indus Water Treaty, okay, that it is a successful water diplomacy project. This is the first part. This is, if you see, this is the first part of the question. The second part being that it is under strain due to climate and security issues. This is the second part, the challenges, the climate and the security issues becoming a challenge to the Indus Water Treaty, the climate and security issues. Okay, the third part, India's recent notice to Pakistan. This was in the context of the, also in the context of the, previous years, as well as with the coming up of our with the unfortunate incident of Pahalgam, and our swift diplomacy in terms of that we wanted, under Operation Sindoor, we gave the most proactive response to their harsh or cruelsome treatment. Okay, so it was under that light also that India gave notice to Pakistan. This is the third part, right? That India's recent notice to Pakistan to modify the treaty. And then the fourth part is what? The legal, the strategic and the humanitarian implications. Okay, so if you see the question itself is composed of 3-4 major parts. Okay, that first you have to show that how it has been a successful water model. That is the first thing. The second thing being that what have been the challenges to that model, the coming challenges to that model, like the climate or the security. The third being the notice to Pakistan, and finally the fourth, the different challenges in terms of legal, strategic and humanitarian challenges. Okay, so we'll go one by one, we'll deal with each subpart. Okay, so that is how you have to do in your real exam also. If such a large question, if you see, it's a very big question, and such question comes in your UPSC mains. So if such a large question generally comes, what you have to do? You have to brainstorm it like this. Okay, you have to break it into different parts like this. Okay, so we start with the first part. Which is the introduction. Now how? Now in introduction what we give? Either we can give some kind of datas, or we can give some kind of current dimension. If you have any kind of current dimension about the topic, you can give that. Or you can give what? You can give a basic introduction, just giving the entire issue of the question. Okay, so here a basic introduction but with keyword. What kind of keywords? If you see, now starts the answer from here. Okay, so what is the answer? India's recent shift from strategic patience, you see keyword, to strategic escalation, again a keyword, marks a watershed moment in South Asian hydropolitics. Okay, so that is what I meant by using a kind of specific introduction. In terms of value addition, you see there are keywords like strategic patience, strategic escalation, hydropolitics. So such kind of keywords needs to be there. Okay, then next, while it has survived 3 major war, treaty is now breaking, is in a breaking point. Okay, so you saw actually the very context of the introduction is very general. It's nothing that we have quoted any big data or report, but the keywords are generally international relations based keywords. Okay, keyword are international relation based keyword. Okay, so we see that we have introduced it in a very keyword format, that from strategic patience, India has now chosen the path of strategic escalation, and this is also marking a very important watershed in the timeline of South Asian water politics or hydropolitics. Okay, so introduction done. Next we go on to how the first subpart, that how it is a model of successful water diplomacy. Indus Water Treaty, a model of successful water diplomacy. Why and how? Okay, so again we come with the points, that first the resilience, that it has remained functional even during the wars like 1961 and 1965 and 1971. Okay, so during even the war times like that of Kargil or 1971, so it was very much resilient, that the treaty did not broke. The second point, clear allocation, that rather than having any kind of buffers or let's say complex term, it provides a exclusive right. Okay, no joint management, but there have been two different segments, that some rivers goes to India and some river goes to Pakistan. So a clear cut, a clear sharp worded agreement, and that is good. If any agreement is sharp worded, it is good in the sense, that it does not leads to too much of tension. Okay, so we saw the why it is a model of successful democracy or water diplomacy, successful water diplomacy. It is also a gold standard of diplomacy. Why? First point is resilience. Okay, so this is how you have to write your mains answer also. Okay, first point being resilience, that it has remained functional during the wars of 1965, 1971 and 1919. Second is clear allocation, the clear allocation, that is by providing exclusive rights and not joint management. If there would have been joint management, then there would have been day-to-day friction. Okay, so a complete clear cut demarcation, that 20% will go to India and 80% would go to Pakistan. That is why also it has been successful. That is also one reason, that it has been clear, straightforward, so hence it has been successful. Next, conflict resolution mechanism has been given. The Permanent Indus Commission, the neutral experts, and finally the Court of Arbitration. So this is again one reason why it has survived the test of the time, because a systematic conflict resolution mechanism has been provided. Then fourth point being what? That what is the role of the World Bank? Okay, so World Bank acts not just as a witness but a facilitator, providing neutral, again a kind of neutral coping mechanism. That is why it's been successful. So World Bank's role of providing neutral international cushion. Okay, so this was the first part, that why it has been successful. The first subpart, if it comes as a 15 mark, the first small subpart will be this, and you will be giving 4 points under it. 4 points of resilience, clear allocation and conflict resolution. Okay, so these 4 points and World Bank role. Okay, now then we come on to the next part. The Indus Water Treaty and its issue. So we have seen the first part, that why it has been successful. Now we will come on to what are the challenges to the Indus Water Treaty challenges. Okay, so Indus Water Treaty being a testament to the fact that even the bitterest of rivals can find a common ground when survival is the. So this is a kind of quote. So you can use again value addition, very important. Value addition, okay, that he has given. Let's say if you remember this quote and a question comes on Indus Valley civilization, so you can do it very easily. Okay, you can do it very easily, and that is why the quote is very important. If you see the quote, okay. Now the issues in Indus Water Treaty. So these are the challenges to the Indus Water Treaty. Okay, so first being the technical versus legal gridlock. Pakistan has increasingly used court of arbitration for technical disputes like Kishan Ganga project or Ratle project, which India views as a delay tactic. Okay, so some technical issues, technical as well as legal issues. For instance, if the institution of the court of arbitration, was made, it was made for what? It was made for resolving the deep issues, but what is happening? Pakistan is using it as a delaying tactic. This is first point, technical issues that have been faced, that India has been facing due to the treaty. That court of arbitration is being used for legal not legal but technical disputes, leading to delay in India's project, Okay, so that is the first issue. If you see, Then the second issue being the climate change. The second issue being the climate change, which was also been asked in the question. If you see, then climate change was also been asked in the question. Okay. So the treaty assumes a static hydrological cycle lacking the provision for glacial retreat or erratic monsoons, etc. Okay. So with the coming up of very vulnerable climates, like there have been flash floods, or let's say there is a glacier outburst. So for those kind of situation of emergency, when there is an emergency like situation, for such situations no major provisions been given. And with the coming up of so much of climate change, that is becoming a harsh issue to tackle. Okay. So climate change being another major kind of challenge to the Indus Water Treaty. Okay. So climate change being the second, then we come on to more challenges. More challenges, we come on to more challenges. After that is the modern hydropower needs. Okay, modern hydropower needs. What it means? That India needs run of the river project for green energy, which often clashes with treaties' rigid technical specification about the sedimentations, etc. Again, the same thing, the thing that there have been technical challenges. Okay, India wants to prepare green energy project, which is also called as run of the river. Run of the river means which does not affect the other neighboring territory. Okay, India wants to prepare such projects, but then the technical guidelines, the old treaty in terms of not the new age, it is a very decades old treaty. So the old technical specification is leading to delays in India's green energy projects. Okay, delays in India's green energy project. Okay, so that is the third major challenge. Then the point of security. The rise of cross-border terrorism has led to this major stance that India has taken, and it is becoming a challenge. How? That the rise of cross-border terrorism is a challenge due to which India has taken such a tough stand that blood and water cannot flow together. Okay, so being the challenge is the needling approach of Pakistan. Needling approach of Pakistan being the challenge, that they cannot ever become a good state. Okay, they always tend to needle India. They cannot remain at all, you can say, they cannot be innocent ever, in terms that their infiltration, their cross-border terrorism, their ways to destroy the security of India, that has always been there. So blood and water cannot flow together, and that is why this cross-border terrorism is again a challenge that India has beared enough, and now India is saying that enough is enough, and finally we want a modification. We cannot comply with this. We need a change, that blood and water should not flow together. We need a change. Okay, now next. Okay, so if you see, first subpart done, successful. Why it is successful? Then we have seen the challenges of contemporary climate and change. Now the recent notice to Pakistan. We will be seeing India's recent notice to Pakistan to modify the treaty. The recent notice to Pakistan to modify the treaty. Okay. Okay, so in a significant departure from the past, India gave a notice to Pakistan first in 2023 and then further in 2024 and 25 to review the treaty under Article 12 Clause 3. Okay, so India has given multiple times India has called for a review of the treaty under the Clause 3. Now what has been the major trigger? What has been the major trigger? The trigger, the parallel adjudication initiated by World Bank, okay, that is a both neutral expert and a court of arbitration, which is being called as untenable. Again a major challenge, that both India and Pakistan could not cooperate on the kind of, on the kind of adjudication needed. India is always wanting a different kind of adjudicator, while Pakistan calls for same dispute to be handled by someone else. Okay, and this is legally not commodable by India. This is legally could not be cooperated by India. So two different bodies. So that is what is called as parallel adjudication. That two different bodies treat the same case. Why? Because Pakistan is not confident with India's approach. They bring out their own form of arbitrations, that is like court of arbitration. They take the case to court of arbitration, while India does not want too much of these court cases, etc. So this lead to again a major challenge, and that has been the crucial point why India wants to change the treaty. Now objective, India seeks to renegotiate the treaty to reflect the common realities like climate change, environment assessment, etc. Again a major reason why, because of climate change, due to new security issues, India does feel that the realities of 1960 is very different from what is happening today. Okay, more than 60 years has passed by, so a kind of revision is much needed. Okay, now the current status. Okay, the current status of what is happening in Indus Water Treaty. Okay, so the current status is that after the terror attack in Pahalgam, India has placed the treaty in abeyance. Okay, treaty in abeyance, signaling end of unilateral Indian compliance. We are no more complying with the treaty. We are keeping it in abeyance. That whether you decide on it or not, but from our side, it's a complete halt. From our side, it's a complete halt. Okay, so the treaty being in abeyance is the recent status. Okay, so this was about the status. Now we come on to the major implications both on India as well as on Pakistan. Okay, the legal, the strategic and the humanitarian implications of the status of Indus Water Treaty. Due to such status, what will be the So what all will it lead to? The first being legal implications. We'll first come to legal implications, and that is what I also tell to the students, that whenever you are questioning any of the main specific question, so you need to check out every part and write them separately. If there is a part of legal implication, write the legal implication separately. If there is a part mentioning strategic implication, write it separately. So we'll deal with all separately. So what is the legal implication? The first legal implication will be sovereignty of India versus the treaty. Okay, that India under Article 62 under the Vienna Convention cites fundamental changes of circumstances to suspend the part. Okay, so legal implication will be that laws like that of the Vienna Convention, laws of Vienna Convention could be used to suspend parts of the treaty, because then the issue of India's sovereignty's issue will be there. India's sovereignty issue. Then another is that it is based upon a precedent, that something like this has happened earlier also, and that it will actually imply also that India could take some steps like that. Okay, means what? Means that modifying this 60-year-old treaty could be a global precedent for other basins like Mekong or Nile River. So we can set a legal example that due to the changing circumstances, due to the sovereignty issues, due to security issue, India did changed its age-old treaty, and we set a international example also. Okay. So major thing being the change of the treaty due to sovereignty. This will be the legal implication, that issues like that of sovereignty, international law, that will come into light. Okay, next will be the strategic implications of this. Okay, so if you see, this will be coercive diplomacy. We see that the Honorable S.J. Shankar sir also said that you can't ask for water and continue terrorism. So water has officially become a counter-terrorism strategy for India. So this is a counter offensive or a coercive diplomacy. This shows a counter offensive or a coercive diplomacy also. Okay. Next strategic issue in this is the China factor. Okay, so we are writing from all the sides. We are writing from the positive side also, and we are writing from any kind of challenges that India can face also. Okay, so the next important strategic point will be the China factor. That any move to restrict water to Pakistan can prompt China to take a similar stance with Brahmaputra. So the strategically, the story could be tit for tat. Okay, it could be an implication that China might do the same with India, and that is what happens in international relations. Okay, so these were the strategic implications. Now we come on to the humanitarian implications. The humanitarian implications. Now, what will be the humanitarian implications? Obviously, if a treaty will stop, the water will stop flowing, leading to both socio-economic problems in the country being affected. So, first being agrarian crisis. With 90% of Pakistan's agriculture will depending upon Indus River, even a minor stoppage to the water could lead to famine or economic collapse to Pakistan. And that is what is the major humanitarian implication, that Pakistan could be destroyed, its economic base could collapse if India comes to the term to modify this treaty. Okay. So agrarian economic crisis in Pakistan. Again, next is on the Indian side, there could be displacements, like if we will make new dam projects like in Ladakh or J&K. Obviously, when the treaty will shift, there could be newer projects. Okay, so some kind of loss could there also be to India. okay, like displacement and rehabilitation, etc. So this was all the strategic as well as the legal as well as the humanitarian, all different kind of implications of the notification or the stoppage of the Indus Water Treaty. Okay, so local ecological shift and displacements. Now finally a conclusionary note. So as our honorable PM Shri Narendra Modi always say, a balance must be struck between the rights of the lower riparian and the developmental needs of India. Unless both nations will call for Indus Water Treaty 2.0, the treaty will be becoming only a casualty. Okay, so our honorable PM, he himself has said that a balance must be struck, that the security concerns of India, the development concerns of India, that needs to be respected if Pakistan wants its own rights of water to be respected. So a balance needs to be struck. So what is the way forward? What is the way forward for this, or a conclusion that you can write? The way forward is that to prevent a water war, a modernized framework is needed. A modernized framework is needed. What this modernized framework means? Modernized framework in terms of climate sensitive data sharing, satellite based monitoring. Now see, this is how you have to write your way forward. Now this is not only that using science and technology or using data. We have specifically given the points that climate sensitive data sharing or satellite based monitoring. So if you write such keywords, such good value added keywords, your examiner would be happy with the quality of your answer. Okay, so you can write such kind of keywords. Okay. So next is joint management could be a possibility to make the river into a cooperative basin, as we see in the Danube or the Rhine commissions. See again, way forward and best practices. We have given way forward as well as best practices. So you have to write like this only. You have to do like this because it will make your answer very much specific. Okay, so we see that we have done a way forward also in terms of value added content like joint management, strategic de-escalation. Okay, strategic de-escalation, again a keyword. So that is how you have to write in your mains. Your words should have volume. If you see, the words are so beautifully written. Climate sensitive data sharing, satellite based monitoring, joint management, cooperative basin management, strategic de-escalation. Okay, now equitable use. If we see UN Water Courses Convention, so complete value added data being also given. Okay, complete value added data being also given. Now we go on to the next question. So we have done with the Indus Water Treaty. We have discussed it in detail, and I hope that if any kind of question comes of Indus Water Treaty, you will be able to do that. You will be able to do that because I have covered almost everything. The point that I wanted to make, that you should be able to, write very clearly. Write very clearly in the sense you should be able to write in such a way that it is beautiful in the eyes of the examiner. Okay, so now coming on to the next question. Now this is a question on India's neighborhood first policy and overall South Asia. India's neighborhood first and overall South Asia. Okay, now analyze the dual impact of regional opportunities and strategic vulnerabilities on India's neighborhood first policy. Propose a framework for India to exercise regional leadership while also mitigating the big brother syndrome amongst the smaller South Asian states. Okay, again a large question. Okay, again a big and a large question if you see. So what is it been saying? It has been giving two sides of the question, that India is having regional opportunities but also strategic challenges, and again in this context give how India can tackle the challenges and also use this as an opportunity to create better in terms of its foreign policy. Okay, so it is a two-sided question. The question is the dual impact of regional opportunities as well as strategic vulnerabilities on India's neighborhood policy, and a framework for both leadership while also mitigating the big brother syndrome. What is the big brother syndrome? The big brother syndrome means that the smaller neighborhoods, they allege that India tends to become a monopolist, big entity, and wants to control the South Asia and interfere in their internal affairs. This is just a very false allegation, because India has never tried to do that, but that is what has been used. Okay, so now the challenges are also there, the opportunities are also there. Now we want a middle path where we can counter the challenges and we can take the opportunities. So that is what is the question is asking. Okay, okay, so you have seen the question, and what this question asks. What is the question asking? Okay, so now we will see this question and we will see its answer. Okay, you have understood the dual impact and also the dual steps which India will need to take. So let's now see its answer. Okay, now, so again we'll try to start with the introduction. Okay, where we'll try to write about India's neighborhood first policy. Introduction with India's neighborhood first policy. India's neighborhood first policy reflects the aspiration for regional leadership, cultural ties, collaborative security, etc. So this is your introduction. Introduction, where we gave a general overview about India's overall or what is India's neighborhood policy. We gave a general overview, not very fancy introduction, but just to explain. Okay, now we come on to the sub part. So first sub part was what? The opportunities that India has. So the first sub part, the regional opportunities that India has. Now what are the opportunities? Now in these opportunities you can think in multiple dimensions. You can think in terms of energy, you can think in terms of economic, in terms of connectivity, in terms of trade, social cultural ties, in terms of, you know, political power. So we start one by one. We first see the opportunity of digital public infrastructure. Okay, digital public infrastructure. With a growing connectivity, with a growing internet, we see that nations like Sri Lanka and Nepal have integrated UPI system, which is reducing their cost by 60%, and we can create a digital South India in which India could be a digital head. So that could be the first issue, the first opportunity, that India could become a digital head and capture the South Asian market in terms of providing the data, networks, etc. to the needy countries, Example Sri Lanka and Nepal. So this is the first opportunity that India has. The second opportunity. The second opportunity being the energy hub. The energy hub. The second is being the energy opportunity of India. Okay, so in energy opportunity, for instance, we saw that India was also the, you know, the harbinger, or you can say the head of the One World, One Sun, One Grid initiative. So just like that initiative, we can create a solar hub in South Asia. So that is again an opportunity. India acting a conduit for Bhutanese and Bangladesh, reaching Bangladesh, creating undersea cables or solar panels, etc. Okay, so energy being again another major issue or another major opportunity which could be harnessed by India. Okay, now the third opportunity. So opportunity of energy. Then the third opportunity, health and education. This is the third opportunity that India could tap. Third opportunity which India could tap. Like what? Like global development compact could be made, and regional campus of IITs and AIMS in Mauritius, Sri Lanka, Nepal, etc. So India can do that also, that we can create lots of campus, we can create research center. So overall scientific opportunity is also there. So this was about the positive side, the opportunities. Now we go on to the vulnerabilities. The strategic vulnerabilities. Okay, so the first thing, the problem is the China factor. So as you all know that China wants to completely displace India out of South Asia and take the entire South Asia as its own regional hub. That is a part of wolf warrior diplomacy, or that is a part of China's, you know, coercive diplomacy, that China wants a complete power asymmetry, which we can see also by its Belt and Road Initiative. by its BIR project, which it is laying in Pakistan, taking ports in Sri Lanka, also giving funds to Bangladesh. So in every country, China is trying to capture India's influence. So that is the biggest problem with India in South Asia, the China factor. Okay. Okay, so next is big brother perception. This is again a big brother syndrome. It is a problem for India only. Big brother syndrome, a problem for India. Why? Now India has been seen as, the smaller states see it as a majoritarian religious-centered communities, and there is a lot of mistrust towards India. Lot of mistrust towards India. India been seen as a regional bully to the South Asian neighbors. Next problem, the weaponized interdependence. Naturally, we have dual use infrastructure. China's dual use infrastructure creating security dilemma for India. Dual use infrastructure means the dams or the projects, the ports, etc., that China is taking over in countries like Nepal or Sri Lanka. So these are actually again a problem for India. Okay, so it is actually a diplomatic tactic of China that the interdependence has been weaponized, that it is trying to use its projects, its infrastructure for weaponizing the relations. Okay. Now, the trade surplus grievance. This is again a problem. It has been said that India, it has been alleged, or let's say they have a fear that India tends to capture a lot of trade. Okay, so this is also a kind of vulnerability which India faces, which actually it is not a part. India has never tried to capture any of the economic perspectives. But then what is the thing, that India has a trade surplus with these countries, with its neighbor, and then they say, this narrative is there, that they are getting economically exploited due to India. So this is a narrative. Okay, this is the narrative. Okay, so we have seen these are the major challenges. Another major challenge of South Asia. Another major challenge of South Asia being what? Another major challenge being the climate problem and the displacement, that we are seeing that climate induced migration, and further it will create more issue of displacement on India, leading to social and security frictions. Okay, so climate disasters which keep on happening in the South Asia could hamper the overall security perspectives of India. Okay, so this was about the opportunities we have in South Asia and the challenges we have. Now we will see, the question was that how can India deal with it in two ways. How can India deal with it in two ways? That is, first, to counter these challenges, one, countering, and second, building opportunities. First is countering and second is building the opportunities. We need two answers to this. Okay. So now, framework first for leadership. Okay, this is the positive side, that how this is the building our prospects, and then we'll also see how to tackle the challenges. We'll see that also. Okay, so now, to mitigate the big brother syndrome, India can have 3 P's. The 3P approach. Now you can see, very important. And this 3P approach you can use anywhere. Generally, if you are writing IR answer, you can use the 3P approach. Now, what is the 3P approach? The 3P approach, what is it? 3P approach calls for being a partner, provider and protractor. In his book, S.J. Shankar sir, called Geography is a reality that can neither be denied nor be escaped. Hence, neighbors are our primary stakeholders in our rise. Okay, so you can just use this statement also, but more important than that is the 3P, that we can become the partner, we can become the protector, and we can become the provider. The partner, the protector, the provider. Okay, so this is one solution. Then we'll further see what else we can do. Okay, so next is for leadership. You can see this is actually 5 points, very beautifully made, very good table. So you can directly use this also. Okay, now we can just discuss what all can be done. The first is institution based diplomacy. Institution based diplomacy. So institutional point, institutional help that we can take, that is the first point. Institution based diplomacy, how we can create small minilateral or multilateral, small institute, councils or forums to discuss the major challenges. So institutional problem first. The second is institutional inclusiveness. Okay, inclusiveness. Like, what does inclusiveness means? Meaning trying to include almost all the major groups all the major countries in a particular group. Okay, inclusiveness, trying to make sure that there are all the major countries present in a particular group. So that could be the second step that we can take. Okay, so first is the 3P, the prominent in the 3P approach, 3 Ps. Then there would be the institutional mechanisms that we can create, institutional mechanisms, right? Then what? After the institution, there could be another thing. That is the Gujarat Doctrine. Gujarat Doctrine means non-reciprocity. Non-reciprocity. The Gujarat Doctrine calls for non-reciprocity. Okay, Gujarat Doctrine calling from non-reciprocity. So you can use what? Non-reciprocity. Now what does this means? This means that we'll try to ensure peace and not try to ensure as much peace as possible and not always try to punish the other group. Okay, not always try to have this in our mind that we will be punishing someone. So that is the non-reciprocity. Okay, so we had the third point, that is of non-reciprocity of Gujarat Doctrine. What does it means? It means that we will try to maintain peace as much as possible and not try to always become rival to them in every matter. Okay, so this is also a very important point, and you can verbatim write also Gujarat Doctrine. So try to use this word Gujarat Doctrine. So these kind of keywords will add value to your answer. These kind of keywords will add value to your answer. Okay, now fourth point is making a disaster resilience fund by being a first responder. Okay, a disaster resilient fund by being a first responder. Okay, disaster resilience fund. Why? Because if we see in the challenges, we have seen that there has been, if in the challenges part, we have seen that there has been a major challenge of disaster. There has been a major challenge of disaster, if you see. So to tackle that, a special fund for the disaster, a special fund for the disaster is necessary. Okay, so a disaster resilience fund, that is another point that we can do. Now another point, then cultural and civilizational bridges. Cultural and civilizational bridges. Now cultural and civilization bridges, what does here means? That leveraging the Ashokan model of tolerance and using the 5S framework. Again very important, 5S framework. 5S framework. What are these 5S? You can use again this in any of the international relations conclusion. You can use what are the 5S? The Samman, the Samvad, Shanti, Samriddhi and Sanskriti. Samman, Samvad, Shanti, Sanskriti and Samriddhi. So these are the major 5S, the 5S approach also. Okay, so you can use this 5S approach in any of the major answers also. Okay, the 5S approach. Okay, now after that, okay, so these were the major points, the 3P, the 5S, the fund, the institutional program. These are what the steps India could take. Okay, what steps India could take. So this has completed this answer. Okay, we saw the challenges, that is the vulnerabilities. Then we also saw the different opportunities that India has, the different opportunities. And then we also saw what? We saw the solutions or how India can stop it. Okay, so this was our about the neighborhood first. Overall, this is a content that could be used anywhere in your way forward. So that is why I was saying that this is a overall session which you can use, which the content which you can use in almost any of the wherever such kind of question you can use it in multiple ways. You can use the answer in the content in multiple ways. Okay, so now we move on. Now we move on to our next question. We move on to our next question, which is the question on SAARC and BIMSTEC. Question on SAARC and BIMSTEC. Okay, so compare and contrast SAARC and BIMSTEC in the terms of the objectives, effectiveness and strategic significance for India. Okay, so difference between SAARC and BIMSTEC. And you can also see that what are the parameters on which we will be discussing. So the first parameter will be the objectives, the second parameter will be the effectiveness, and the third parameter will be the significance. Okay, so 3 parameters and the major comparison and contrast. So we'll also give the differences and we'll also do the similarities of SAARC and BIMSTEC. Okay, SAARC and BIMSTEC. This is the question. Now, so SAARC and BIMSTEC. Now how we will introduce? Again a very common, a generic as much as possible. If you remember the dates, you can write the number of countries involved. If you want to make it specific, you can use the dates or the countries, okay, for making it more specific. Okay, otherwise even if in any case you do not know too much specific, you can do it generic also. Okay, anyway will do. Okay, so regional cooperation in South Asia is anchored. Now we start with the introduction. Regional cooperation is anchored into 2 organizations, the SAARC and the BIMSTEC. SAARC was established in 1885 and BIMSTEC in 1997. So this is a kind of introduction giving the major years. We introduced both the bodies. Okay, now we'll come to the demand of the question, which is about the compare and the contrast. So we start with first part, that is the objectives. The objectives, comparing and contrasting the objectives first. Okay, so objectives of SAARC, comparison and contrast. Now what are the objectives and how they differ and how they are similar? We'll see that. Okay, so now this is about comparison and contrast. So we'll also give the differences and we'll also describe the similarities. Okay, we'll also give the differences and then we'll describe the similarities. Okay, so now the objectives of SAARC. The fundamental goal of both organizations aims at regional prosperity, but their scope and philosophies differ. How? Geographic. Now we start with the differences first. The difference first is geographic focus. So you know SAARC is generally a South Asian body for overall peace and cooperation, but BIMSTEC includes Southeast Asian also. Okay, Southeast Asian also. So SAARC, a South Asian entity, 8 members. BIMSTEC a sectoral or a regional bridge with 2 ASEAN nations, that is Thailand and Myanmar also. Okay, so this is in terms of the members or in terms of the region. The first difference in terms of member or in terms of region. The second difference, the core mandate. So SAARC wants to prepare, SAARC wants to aims for overall welfare of the people, for a overall generally social progress, but BIMSTEC is more focused towards economic and infrastructural, if you see. Okay, towards economic and infrastructure. So core mandate, SAARC promotes the welfare of the people through integrated economy. BIMSTEC wants a multi-sectoral cooperation, more I will say towards economy. So if you see, okay, we go on to the other points, that generally the BIMSTEC covers trade, technology, energy, transport. BIMSTEC generally covers trade, technology, energy, transport. So economic segment is more in BIMSTEC as compared to the SAARC. SAARC is an overall entity. Okay, now ideology, in terms of ideology. So SAARC is based on the principle of regional identity, while BIMSTEC is based on functional cooperation, that is connectivity is their major issue. Okay. So SAARC being a South Asian association, so it is more related to the regional cooperation, whereas another, that is the other, which is the BIMSTEC, it is more towards functional cooperation. Functional cooperation means for major functions, like what? Like the connectivity. Okay, so that is another difference. Then the Pakistan factor. So SAARC includes Pakistan, where the conflict resolution could be a problem for India, but BIMSTEC more favorable because it is excluding Pak, and also it's more on the basis of economic growth and not discussing the issue of Kashmir, which is India's core security issue. So that is also the difference, that Pakistan is a major factor. SAARC majorly has stopped working because Pakistan is not cooperating well, but as compared to that, BIMSTEC can function much better. Because of the overall nature that it does not include Pakistan. Hence it could, because it is not inclusive of Pakistan, hence we can cooperate better. Okay. Okay, then we come on to further. So this was about the major objectives, major points. Then we go on to the effectiveness. Then we go on to the effectiveness. So for the effectiveness of SAARC and BIMSTEC, now first in terms of strategic significance of SAARC and BIMSTEC for India, the strategic significance, which is more effective or not, which is less effective, we have to see that. Okay, now so for India, the shift from SAARC to BIMSTEC is also showing a move from neighborhood first to act east. Okay, so which is more important for India's major concerns these days? The BIMSTEC being more important and effective, and we have shifted towards the policy of Act East. BIMSTEC being more important, and hence we shifted towards the policy of Act East. Hence, BIMSTEC being more effective for India's overall diplomacy. BIMSTEC being more effective. Okay, so this was in terms of effectiveness. Okay, now in terms of general feature. Okay, if you see, this is the table in terms of general features. Okay, in terms of general features. So we see in terms of general feature, first about the operation status. So generally SAARC moribund, it has no more summit. SAARC generally not happening much. BIMSTEC increasingly active, summits and ministerial meetings being done. Okay, so in terms of effectiveness, again activeness, effectiveness, BIMSTEC more active and effective. BIMSTEC being more active and effective. About trade integration, about economy, etc. Again, low effectiveness of SAARC. SAFTA was signed, but then very much trust deficit and not working. Okay, so trade and economic prospectus, again, you know, SAARC much lower in prospect. SAFTA was signed, but to no avail, it has not been of any use. Then BIMSTEC is in progress, still been negotiative. We see the physical connectivity issue is there, but at least much better than SAARC. Okay, now next on the decision making process. Now this is based on unanimity creating a deadlock. This is based on consensus, generally due to shared economic goals. People try to consent with each other. So unanimity, that making sure everyone agrees, that makes a deadlock in SAARC. But here it is a consensus. Okay, now institutional depth, strong institutional frameworks, because it has secretariat in Kathmandu. Historically this does not have secretariat, but its political will is less. So only one point is good, that Kathmandu has the SAARC, the SAARC secretariat, but still the political will is not there. But here in terms of BIMSTEC, we do not have a headquarter. Okay, but in terms of SAARC, we have a secretariat. Okay, so these were again more number of differences. Now further, after these differences, we come on further to some other content which could actually help if you go on to this question of BIMSTEC and SAARC. So it could actually help you in terms of significance, in terms of their significance. What different types of significance does they have? What are the different types of significance that they have? Okay, so if we see SAARC, if we see the significance of SAARC, so SAARC is generally that it remains the only platform where India can engage. So for regional hegemony and for engagement, it is very significant. ठीक है? For stability also, amending SAARC could entirely leave a power vacuum that China could fill through its Trans-Himalayan initiative. So the fear of China, again the fear of China and the stability which we can miss out. So it is the significance of SAARC. Okay. Now next we go on to the BIMSTEC. Why BIMSTEC is significant? BIMSTEC is significant because it can counter the obstructionist role of Pakistan. Except of Pakistan, all the major players of the region is present in the BIMSTEC. So BIMSTEC is helping with regionalism without Pakistan's obstructionist agenda. Okay, so regionalism without Pakistan's obstructionist role. Now next is BIMSTEC. Why again important? It can help counter China also. It is a vital tool for India to promote its influence also in Bay of Bengal, where China is promoting its BRI. Okay, where China is promoting its BRI. Hence, that is the significance of BIMSTEC, that it could counter China and it could counter BRI also, counter China and BRI. Apart from that, why BIMSTEC again important? Because it is also the economic gateway for Indian trade. Economic gateway because it connects India's northeast segment towards Southeast Asia, that is towards the ASEAN countries, hence also important. Okay, hence also important because it connects the northeast India towards Southeast Asia. So more significance of BIMSTEC. Okay, so this was about the overall differences, similarities, the significance, the objectives of BIMSTEC and SAARC. Okay, you can remember this, and if a question comes, let's say individual question also comes, you will be able to answer. So that is the first part. Then in the way forward, that how we can leverage, or the way forward of this question, that how we can leverage the SAARC and the BIMSTEC. So first is revitalize SAARC on non-political grounds, that is low political issues like disaster management, public health, etc. could be there on SAARC. Okay. Second is BIMSTEC for connectivity, BIMSTEC master plan for connectivity, coastal shipping and motor vehicle agreement. So for connectivity, first was low political issues, general emerging issues, you should be tackling that. Second is what? That connectivity could be an issue which could be used. Third is blue economy, especially for BIMSTEC, undersea exploration, fishing, etc. in Bay of Bengal. So blue economy again being an important economic opportunity, blue economy. Okay. Next is strengthening the institutional funding overall. So overall funding could also increase the prospectus of these two. And finally the conclusion, SAARC and BIMSTEC not necessarily exclusive, but SAARC is historical. India cannot afford to miss one opportunity for other. So hence we are done with this question. Then we come to the next, that is the fourth question, the Ganga Water Treaty. The Ganga Water Treaty. Okay, again an important part, the Ganga Water Treaty. Okay, so now the question, Ganga Water Treaty which expires in December 2026, is a test of hydro solidarity. Discuss the technical and the political hurdles for its renewal, especially considering the climate change of the dry season. Okay. So a question on Indo-Bangladesh hydropolitics. Indo-Bangladesh hydropolitics. So the question is that Ganga Water Treaty will be expiring. Ganga Water Treaty will be expiring, and then it will have some political and technical hurdles in renewal. Political and technical hurdle in renewal. So you have to just discuss that what will be the hurdles in the renewal. So question is straightforward, discuss the hurdles in renewal. Okay, so we start with the introduction. We give the date that Ganga Water Treaty was signed in 1996 as a water management in South Asia. The treaty represents a test of solidarity of Bangladesh and India. Okay, so very fine conclusion, very fine introduction with all the dates and using the keyword that it helps transboundary water management. Okay, now we come on, we just try to discuss about the hydro diplomacy of India and Bangladesh. Okay, we generally discuss a bit about hydro diplomacy of India and Bangladesh. So India and Bangladesh in total have 54 transboundary rivers. That is why the hydro diplomacy is institutionalized by joint river commissions. Joint river commission. Okay, so what all it includes, what all the joint river commissions include, what all joint river commission includes. The first is bilateral framework. Bilateral framework, that bilateral agreements will be there for water flow, for overall management, bilateral agreements. The second will be track 1.5 initiative, where non-state actors like different kind of facilitators would be there. So these are some kind of, then so 1.5 diplomacy, where other kind of third parties will come and they will keep in the agreement. Then the historical context. While the cooperation has been steady, the relationship has faced mistrust, and you can write a bit about this. Then this is not complete about the demand. We'll go on to the demand of the question, but this is extra information on it. So you can refer to it selectively. This is extra information. If you want, you can refer to it. Okay. So the 1996 treaty was designed to resolve the issue of Farakka barrage, established a 30-year sharing formula for the dry season. Okay, formula is that it specifies the flow etc. Both countries receive up to 50% etc. बस इतना ही आपको ज़्यादा देखना है. So then we come on to the main demand. ठीक है, ये तो too much हो गया, like this is too much of details, आपको इतने में नहीं जाना. You have to come to the main demand of the question, that is the technical and political hurdles in the renewal. Technical and political hurdles in its renewal. Okay, technical and political hurdles in its renewal. So first is the climate change and the dry season, which has transformed the hydrological baseline and which is less reliable for the future planning. So climate change being the first point, that why the hurdle is there if we renew. If you remember the Indus Water Treaty, in the Indus Water Treaty also climate change was the major issue. Here also same. Next is the variable precipitation. Again, variable precipitation, the uncertain rain. Okay, non-timely raining. Okay, so the general circulation models indicate, this is actually the document, it indicates that highly variable precipitation leading to uncertainty. So lot of uncertainty. Okay, next is again these are climatic, all are climatic, the glacial melt, the monsoon shifting. So the 80% of the river flow occur during the high month period, leaving the dry season vulnerable. leaving dry season vulnerable. So overall, climate vulnerability, climate extremes could be the major hurdle why the renewal is difficult, because there could be no one stop agreement which could be signed, because climate cannot be well predicted in advance. Okay. So then next, further river migration, like physical changes like drying up of the river. And so this entire, if you see the entire, so the theme is climate change, and it is been given into different points, and that is what you need to do for main. If the main demand comes like this, like the main demand, then you have to just write the themes into 3, 4 or major 5 points. Okay, so the point was climate change and it was divided into many other points. Okay, now political hurdles. What are the technical? We have seen the technical hurdles. Now we come on to the political hurdles. The political hurdles. So first is domestic pressure. Domestic pressure. Now what does this domestic pressure means? That the federal structure where West Bengal often complicates the matter, and that was the issue why this matter was also complicated. But now with the change in the government in West Bengal, the problem could maybe a bit less, but overall West Bengal and its government decides the has been a decisive factor for what? Decisive factor towards the technical or the towards the agreement. Okay. So hence we see that it could complicate the negotiations. It could complicate the negotiations. Then is the regional instability. What does regional instability means? That the frequent shifts in the governments, the overall changing policies. So these kind of things can create instability. These kinds of things can create instability in the creation up of the treaty. Okay, in the flexible, like for a very important, for a stable treaty is important that the political as well as the administrative issues are stable. So instability in the government and administration could be also a hurdle. Then power sensitivity. Okay, power sensitivity, like trying to include different groups like the short terms, the various kind of marginalized actors, the traders, etc., who are effective. So how to reconcile all the different groups, that could also be a challenge. Okay, and finally we give a conclusion that the focus must be from water distribution to basin management. You can use this in any inter-river dispute also. So that is how you can add value to your answer. Rather than writing about water sharing, you can write a better way could be basin management. A better way could be basin management. Okay. So this was about the major issues in Ganga Water Treaty. The major issues in Ganga Water Treaty. And okay, way forward. Okay. Then we go on to the fifth question. Fifth question again about Indo-Bangla relation. Fifth question, or Indo-Bangladesh relations only. So the question is, if you see the question, The question is, the fall of Awami League government and the transition in 2026 has been a reset for Indian diplomacy. It has been a reset for Indian diplomacy. Analyze the challenges which India faces in engaging with a regime that has been skeptical for New Delhi. So majorly the straightforward question is the challenges which India faces with the new regime that has historically been viewed with skepticism in New Delhi. So with the ouster of Sheikh Hasina's government and coming up of the new government, what are the major challenges which we face with this particular political establishment in Bangladesh? The major challenges. Okay. So now, so we start with the major introduction. We start with the introduction, which is a generic or whatever introduction you remember. So we start, the political landscape of South Asia has been having a seismic shift with the fall of Awami League and calls for a strategic reset. So this is a keyword, strategic reset, calling for a strategic reset. Okay, now we describe a bit about the political transition. We describe a bit about a political transition in Bangladesh. Political transition in Bangladesh and its challenges for Indian diplomacy. So India faces a diplomatic trilemma. Now please remember this diplomatic trilemma in navigating the new reality. First point, the extradition of Sheikh Hasina. Sheikh Hasina's presence was important for India. The extradition of Sheikh Hasina could also create a major friction point for India because Sheikh Hasina was there in New Delhi. So generally the India is also involved. So this is the first point, first dilemma, first issue. Then the second, the resurgence of security threats, like we see the BNP tenure generally was associated with Ulfa camps, overall insurgency which could rise in northeast India, and Islamist fundamentalism also. So first is the Sheikh Hasina point. The second is Indian internal as well as border security. The security with the coming up of again the new regime, it's been seen that various kind of extremist groups might again increase, which was protected during Sheikh Hasina, might again increase. So the security challenge for India remains. Okay, the security challenge for India. Okay, now another point, another major problem, radicalization. I told you, like reports of attack on Hindu. Now the India out sentiment, this is also very important, that the new establishment has this idea of anti-Indian narrative fueled by perception that India supported a authoritarian regime, and India out campaign has been there in Bangladesh, like we saw in Maldives. So they are more pro China as compared to India and Pakistan. So the China and Pakistan factors. So under this new regime, Bangladesh has called for reviving SAARC and deepening the ties with China. Okay, now renewed Chinese and Pakistani engagement has also been there, which is again problematic for India. So three major issues. First issue is of Sheikh Hasina extradition. India will anyhow be involved. Second is internal security, overall radicalization. Third being that international issue of China and Pakistan getting leverage. Major reasons, what are the major challenges? Okay, so these were the major challenges or the hurdles in the post Hasina era. So you can refer to this table, that a shift in India's foreign policy, because Muhammad Yunus said that they will be non-submissive to India. Then BNP winning meaning a kind of uncertainty in the relations. Now for the way ahead, or what the steps could India take, the major steps that India could take for proactive engagement. What should India do? Okay. So, or this is the way forward for India. So, we have seen the challenges. Now we move on to the way forward. So, the way forward. Now, first is dehyphenation from Awami League. India should explicitly tell that its relation is with the people of Bangladesh and the Bangladesh administration and government rather than the any kind of party. Very important. Not a specific party. So now, because what has happened has happened. Now what is needed, that India needs to clearly tell that we are not related to any party, and instead we want our interest to be fulfilled. We want our interest to be fulfilled and we want balance. So it's not that we do not have to show that we are pro Sheikh Hasina. We have to make sure that we are not a specific party. Okay. Now, okay, next is what step we can take? Economic interdependence, like SEPA. So India, just like it's signing agreements with other country, similarly India could sign one trade agreement with India, and India can offer itself a vital economic cushion. So economic interdependence can be created in terms of trade, in terms of transportation, connectivity. Next point, setting the red lines. Okay, being pragmatic and trying to convey our message. What to convey? That we have zero tolerance for anti-Indian agents, we want protection of our minorities, and we want civilian only status for major ports so that it does not go out to China. Okay. So, zero tolerance for anti-Indian agents, protection of minorities, and protecting ports like Mongla and Papra. So, these are clearly writing our concerns to Bangladesh. Another point, people to people tie and cultural issues like the visa regime could be better. Okay? Gradual normalization of the relations. So, these are the multiple steps that India could take, So finally, the conclusion will write that the 2024 to 2026 transition is a reminder that there is no permanent friends but permanent interest. Hence, we can have a resilient and broad-based relation with Bangladesh. But the most important point, specifying that we are not concerned with any political party but with the people of Bangladesh as the mandate. Okay, so no permanent friend, only permanent interests, and we need to protect for that broad-based pragmatic relations. So that is how you have to conclude. Okay. So now we'll go on to the other question about Indo-Bangladesh relations only. Another question about Teesta water dispute. Generally you are seeing that water issues are prominent themes, okay. Water issues being prominent theme. Teesta river dispute remains the longest standing transboundary conflict between India and Bangladesh, affecting its overall bilateral tie. Discuss the historical evolution. 1. Major causes of the issue, multidimensional impacts of the disputes, and a strategy. So such a, again, a big question, a comprehensive question. So what is the issue? The Teesta river dispute as a conflict between India and Bangladesh. Now what we have to tell? We have to tell its historical evolution, we have to know its history first. Then we have to tell why it is there, what are the causes. Then we have to tell the impact of the disputes, what are the impacts, be it political, legal, strategic, what are the impacts of the dispute, and finally the way forward in terms of a strategy. So a complete package question, okay, way forward for the strategy. So we start with the introduction. Teesta water dispute, longest transboundary, so which is a river starting in Sikkim but 4th largest river and overall affecting the part of, so a generic introduction, okay. Then we go on to the history or the historical evolution. So history is such that the root of these disputes go back to 1947, okay, 1947. So just after or around the time of the partition of India, the status was that in 1947 it was natural. Then in 1983 there was an agreement where 39% of Teesta river went to India and 36% went to Bangladesh, okay. So till 1947 it was a natural flow. 1983 agreement, 39% to India, 36% to Bangladesh agreement. Second, 1996 Ganga's river treaty, Ganga treaty, which we have also seen a bit earlier only, Ganga treaty. Now similar deal wanted for Teesta, but again the treaty was stopped, stall treaty. 2011 में there was a agreement which was to be signed, proposing around 42% for India, however called off by opposition from West Bengal. So this is the history. Generally we have had a Ganga water treaty, but for Teesta it has been stalled. There has been many halt due to some political issues like West Bengal, opposition in West Bengal, or due to other kind of issues like, you know, the international relations and diplomacy not going well. The agreement has yet not been well signed. So this is the historical evolution of the problem. Now why the Teesta water dispute? The major issues in Teesta water dispute, the major causes, there are 7 major causes of the disputes. Major causes. First is the dry or the lean season. The dry or the lean season problem. The lean season. In the dry season generally the needs of both the country could not be satisfied, hence both have a security dilemma that they are not getting much amount of water in the dry season, and that becomes a major issue to deal with. So the lean season or the dry season being the major issue. Then the issue of West Bengal government, opposition from West Bengal government generally. So they are not happy with the terms of the treaty. Okay, so West Bengal government argues that treaty can lead to problems in Bengal, hence the treaty is not been signing. Next, for Bangladesh, the Teesta river is its lifeline. Like Indus, the lifeline of Pakistan, the Teesta river, the lifeline for Bangladesh, and also the economic and agricultural region of Bangladesh dependent on it. Hence a major dispute. Bangladesh dependent on it. Then another point, the Ghazol Doba. Bangladesh points that Ghazol Doba barrage that was built in India diverts major water towards the Indian subcontinent. Okay, so that is why also the Ghazol Doba, again a trust deficit, They say that India is getting more water. Then another point, the decreasing water flow due to climate change. Climate change has been the most important issues in all the river problems. Climate change leading to less flow of water and leading to further trust deficit. Then strategic issue, the issue of China, which India sees it, that China is investing in some kind of water projects, which is fearful for Indian perspective. It is a strategic security concern for India. So the China issue. Okay. So all these issues creates a trust deficit, and hence the Teesta river disputed form is there. Okay. So the major cause of disputes. Okay. So we have seen the historical evolution, we have seen the major forms of causes. Now we see the major impacts of the issue, the major impacts. The first impact, economic impact, the livelihood. Because in Bangladesh, most of the agriculture depends on this river. So the livelihood crisis in Bangladesh, 1 lakh hectares land remain uncultivated due to less water. After that, economic loss. Okay, so nearly again to Bangladesh, nearly crop yield is lost it, because Bangladesh again economically for Bangladesh, the river Teesta being its lifeline. Okay, next. So this was economic problems towards Bangladesh due to Teesta river. Another problems. Next problem being the refugee crisis. The refugee crisis in terms of the inconsistent flows have created environmental refugees because of the droughts and flash floods. So again, due to Teesta river, the flash floods, the drought, creating lots of refugees who migrate near the Bangladesh border. Bangladesh border migration. So again a major issue or the impact of this dispute. Okay, so the droughts, the floods, etc., major impact. Next, environmental degradation, drying up of river leading to groundwater level decline, fishes species is declining. So overall environmental problem also. Another point, diplomatic tension, most important, in fact the most important point, diplomatic tension, major political tool, anti-Indian sentiment. Strategic problem, again same, that the river water could not be strategically been dealt, security issues for both India and Bangladesh. Okay, so these are the major issues. Now we come on to the strategy to resolve. We will see the strategies major. Now we again come on to, rather than having the very important thing, rather than water sharing, basin management should be the approach. Okay, next, benefit sharing approach. Benefit sharing means that showing up the benefit towards electricity, etc. Okay, agricultural technology, water, okay, then transfer, etc. could be done. Okay, so basin management, benefit sharing, then what else? Joint river commission could work better, empowering the joint river commissions. Okay, now transparency in their decision. Okay, so joint river commission could be renewed, joint river commission to be renewed. Next is joint management, again joint management approach of dams. Okay, they have given some examples, you can also see the examples. Okay, so these are the major issues and how to deal with it. Overall Ganga treaty renewal, you can see the major, there are 7 to 8 major points, you can selectively read it. Okay, now we come on to the portion of Nepal. So we are done with whom? We are done with Pakistan, Indus Water Treaty. Then we have seen Bangladesh issues like Ganga and the Ganga river and the Teesta river. Now we go on further to Nepal and Nepal hydropolitics. So question is, explain the current status and the importance of India, Nepal, the current status and the importance of India, Nepal hydropower and power trading cooperation that India and Nepal is having. So major power trading cooperation that India and Nepal is happening. What are the issues involved? Okay, so we see again, we start with the introduction. So we start with the introduction. The introduction, India-Nepal Power Cooperation is a cornerstone of bilateral relations, okay, joint ventures, transmission infrastructure, etc. A long-term power agreement leading to long-term power agreements. Okay, so then this is a general introduction that we gave. Now we come on to first important part, that is the importance. So if we give the status that Indo-Nepal Power Cooperation is a part of its bilateral relation, in which we are seeing that they are working for clean energy, for transmission infrastructure. So such kind of keywords should be there. Clean energy, transmission, etc. So we come on to what is its importance, the importance or the significance. Its importance or its significance. So first is that you just give a context. Context has been given that Nepal's hydropower potential is quite high, while India benefits from low cost renewable energy, helping them manage overall peak. So what are the major importance of it? The major importance being long term power trade agreement in which India's electricity demand is fulfilled and Nepal economic fare is been given by making it produce more electricity. ठीक है? So long term power trade agreement, okay, that can be important to start exporting this energy. So export and power trade agreement, so these are it is important. Next important, again export. Okay, so the revenues you can see, export capacity. Then what else? A tripartite breakthrough. A tripartite breakthrough. What does it mean? Tripartite breakthrough means that Bangladesh could also be included and a grid could be made. Okay, a grid could be made. Further we see that new transition capacities. So this is all about the energy segment. This is all about the energy segment. Now what are the, so energy segment detailed importance. Detailed importance. Now we come on to some challenges also. What are the challenges? First is procedural and institutional challenges, forest clearance, administrative challenges, political challenges. Then seasonal imbalance, we see that over-reliance, if it could be problematic if we go towards the dry season, or we see that monsoon could flash flood. So all this could damage the overall structure and the timing of the water projects. Then transmission problems, the electricity, how it will be transmitted, infrastructural transmission problems, overall fundraising, like cost overruns, who will invest how much, from where the investment would be taken. So these could be the funding issues that could be there. Then environmental and social issues, environmental and social issues. Obviously, if any kind of electricity or river projects are done, too much of sedimentation, deforestation, rehabilitation, that would be a problem. Further, the regulatory asymmetry. Okay, so these are the major challenges. You can give also the details of the problems, of the projects, the major projects that are there, if you can see. So we have key projects in Nepal. Remember the name, the question can come also in prelims. The key projects like Arun 3, the Upper Karnali, the Lower Arun, the Seti. So you need to remember this. And again the benefits like trade deficit, foreign exchange, carbon can be less, broader impact, larger socio South Asian grid. Okay? So these are the major benefits and challenges. Then we come on to the way forward, that what steps could be taken, much other kind of steps. So the recommended steps. So storage projects, year round power, energy bank, 2 new, completing them fast, allowing energy exchange management, better regulatory mechanisms and better kind of funding. Okay? Then they have also given some best practices like Bhutan-India Hydropower Corporation. Bhutan-India Hydropower Corporation is a best practice in this regard. Bhutan-India Hydropower Corporation, and there are also other kind of things that has been given. Okay? Now we come on to then 8th question. After that, after the energy security, we come on to the 8th question about the India and its neighborhood, particularly Afghanistan and Pakistan. Okay, so we come on to the question. What is the question? The question being, in context of the evolving regional dynamics like that of Taliban in Pakistan, outline the opportunities and the challenges for India-Afghanistan cooperation and the way forward in context of the Pakistan ka tension with Taliban. So in context of Pakistan's tension with Taliban, what are the challenges and what are the opportunity for India-Afghanistan relations and the way forward. So complete package, you see that there has been rising tensions. There has been rising tension between Pakistan and Afghanistan. So now you have to tell that what could be this, how it could be a challenge, how it could be a opportunity for India and the way forward. Okay, so we give the introduction that amidst the overall shifting geopolitics, we see that the symbiotic Taliban and Pakistan relation has been moving forward. Then this is the entire context. Okay, then it's been given Taliban and Pakistan, what are the tension between them. We see that open war has been declared. How? Operation Ghazab-il-Haq, where the Pakistan has launched airstrike on Taliban. Then the Durand line dispute, the border dispute, the Durand line dispute, that is also creating international border problem. Then the TTP factor, the TTP, the Fitna al-Khwaraz. So the different terrorist groups, they are also creating a breakdown in trust. So these are the major tensions between Pakistan and Afghanistan, the major tensions between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Okay, and hence in this regards, we see what are the opportunities for India. Hence, what are the opportunities for India? Okay, so this is a strategic window for New Delhi. How? First is the soft power and the goodwill. So this can show India as a peaceful nation and its soft power. Second, overall security interest, that India can make sure that Afghanistan soil is not used for the terrorist group. So overall security. Third, the connectivity. Overall, the infrastructural projects like the Chabahar port in Iran, it could be protected if India has a good leverage in Afghanistan. Then the economic high energy, the trading potential, the investment specifically, the investment in mining, in different kind of new geographical resources, corridors, connectivity projects that could be built. So these are large amount of opportunities, strategic opportunity to also tackle China and Pakistan influence, tackling China's and Pakistan influence, overall connectivity, overall security. These are the major opportunities that India have, the major opportunities that India have. Then we come on to the challenges, the challenges in this, the challenges in doing this. So in challenges, okay, so first is the recognition dilemma, that India still not recognize Afghanistan properly because of its Talibani linkage. Okay, so recognition problem. Internationally, many countries are not able to recognize Taliban as a sovereign state, and that is a problem with India also. Okay, then security risks. We see different kind of Islamic insurgency and Islamic terrorist groups are there. So we cannot completely rely, because it could be an internal security as well as internal and terrorist security issue for India. Then geopolitical instability, we see Iran-US tensions. Overall, this is shifting India's attention towards other issues also. Human rights concerns, like the issues of women. Talibani do not recognize the women rights, the issues of minorities. So these issues are hampering India to build up better relations. Okay, so these are the major challenges. After the challenges, we come on to the way forward or the steps that India could take. The way forward or the steps that India could take, the practical steps India could take. So first is, what all India could do? A middle path involving preventing a vacuum, okay, overall developmental partnership, etc. Okay, our approach, if you can write this quote also, guided by history and friendship, stable, secure Afghanistan. Okay, you can also write other kind of steps like councils could be made, economic connectivity forums could be made. So you can create points like that. Okay. Okay, now we come on to the next question. Okay, the question is a bit big. So the path to multipolar Asia must lead to bipolar conciliation between New Delhi and Beijing. Comment on the feasibility of this statement. Propose a multi-dimensional strategy also to manage the rising and India and assertive China. So question is what? That for a multipolar Asia, both China and India needs to cooperate. So what is the demand? You need to write about that the feasibility of India-China cooperation. The feasibility of India and China cooperation. Can it be done? Plus the way forward, the steps that needs to be taken for it. Okay, the strategy that needs to be done for the multipolar Asia, including China and India. Including China and India. How it could be done. Okay. So let's see. So these are all the table has been given, that what actions could be done and how it could be done. It is possible, and how through diplomacy, like overall track to diplomacy, civil society, etc. Through humanitarians like food for medicine, etc. Okay. Yeah, feasible. Yeah. Okay, India and China geopolitical climate. How it is that we see that we have had a cold peace since 2024. We want these summits and agreements. The trust deficit is also there. Global alignment is changing. So how to do? What are these steps? The feasibility. Feasibility is there. Feasibility is there. Low to moderate feasibility is there, because we have conflicting regional visions. China wants unipolar Asia. We want multipolar Asia. Okay, then boundary dispute is a major problem. Pakistani factor is there. So, but then what could be the steps? We can see the steps to counter China's assertiveness and make a multipolar Asia. First is diplomatic strategy of active realism. First is making coalitions like that of India, Quad, etc. Okay. Second is leading the global south. Then Neighborhood 2.0, where we can include others. Then economic strategy like de-risking, PLI schemes, etc., global supply chain. Okay. Then further, we see economic strategy, diplomatic strategy, all that. Then we see SCO mechanism where India and China can interact, like platform for crisis management, communication channel, etc. And finally, conclusion by a quote: India is leading power, goal is to leading power, but not just a balancing power. To balance the China's challenge, we can have a reconciliation. Again, you can use the 5S like Samman, Samriddhi, Sanskriti for mutual respect, mutual sensitivity, etc. So such kind of keywords can be used. Okay, then we come on to the next question. Further, okay, so question is, the shift from peace and tranquility to permanent deployment at LAC, that is line of actual control, altered India's defense posture. Analyze the strategic significance of India's infrastructural development like Project Vartak, Sela Tunnel for countering the Chinese salami slicing tactic. Okay, again a question related to China. Again a major question related to China. Okay, so we have to give the significance of India's increasing infrastructural overhaul and infrastructural projects in Asia, and how could it counter China's strategy? How could it counter China's strategy? Okay. Okay, so what are the challenge and how it has impacted? Now, the first was the challenge of terrain and climate like fragile Himalaya, etc. And impact is that we will have high maintenance costs, we can give damage, etc. So these are some challenge. Now next, logistics and fundings. For logistics and funding, we are BRO funding. Significant gap remains, but as compared to China's budget. Then the border, the lack of mutually bordered, overlapping perceptions of the border. Then information asymmetry. So you can see this table, major issues. Now we come on that the situation at LAC and how it could be helpful. So China's salami slicing, that is a warfare zone which is China is using different parts. It is cutting different parts of Indian territories. So this is the LAC's aggression. Now India's significance. This is all different kind of details. You can read selectively. You can refer to these details selectively. We come on to how the action that India has taken and what is its significance. Okay. So first significance is operational mobility, overall connectivity. So heavy artillery can move if there is any kind of war or mishappening. Overall connectivity is there. Then inter-valley, again connectivity like Project Arunank, Brahmank, all this will ensure inter-valley highways, etc., leading to further major connectivity in terms of sudden issues. Further, policy enablers and help like vibrant village program, overall connectivity, civilian activation, all this is helping to counter the issues at the border of LAC. Okay, but then the challenges, you can see the challenges above, and finally we come on to the way forward, that how to maintain the peace along the LAC, how to maintain the peace along the LAC. Okay, so how to maintain the peace along the LAC? So first is Panchsheel for modern era. Panchsheel, that India must be having disengagement, de-escalation, delinking. Panchsheel, the principles of peaceful cooperation that India should follow, and in that we should be having disengagement, de-escalation, delinking. Then we can go for smarter border management. Smarter border management, IBMS, integrated border management system, could be used. A digital wall, so you need to write these kind of value additions like digital wall. If you write such things, there could be impact of what you are writing, like digital wall. Then theaterization, again an important value addition. Theaterization means what? That different kind of commands like Navy, Army, all should together come to make sure that there is a large force on the northeastern zone. Then overall border demographic, by village vibrant program, etc. could be done. Okay, so this was about the infrastructure at LAC and how it can counter China's assertiveness. There has been a lot of details also, you can refer to all the details. Okay, then we come on to another question. Okay, major joints project. Okay, so majorly we have done the details also. If you want to see the details of the help that we can do to the action for India-Afghanistan relations or India-Talibani relations, India-Afghanistan steps that we can take, India-Afghanistan steps or way forward, you can see. First is diplomatic steps, like we can have a track to diplomacy with them, track to diplomacy with the Afghan civil society. This was about the Talibani question, that how India can increase its overall relations with the, generally increasing its overall relation with Taliban. Then is humanitarian, like medicines, aids, like we have to capacity building through online scholarships and online program. Then overall infrastructure and connectivity, overall infrastructure and connectivity, how through the international trade corridor that was there, making sure it increases faster. Then through technological scientific issues to be tackled, and overall you can see. Okay, then the India-China question, which has been done. So we have seen the shift of the deployment in the China and its issue. We have seen the China issue, salami slicing. What are the steps that India has taken on the infrastructural part? The steps taken by India, what are the challenges and what steps have been taken by India. Okay, so all the major details are there, multi-sectoral connectivity, etc. So what all was being discussed? We have discussed the major river issues, starting from, we have discussed Indo-Pakistan relations, its issues like Indus water. Then we went to Bangladesh. We have referred to again the Ganga water, overall Bangladesh issues, the changing of regime in Bangladesh and what it will lead to, what changes it will lead to, Indian strategic dimensions. Okay, that was about Bangladesh. Then we went also to Nepal and issues in Nepal. Okay, then we came on to the South Asian part, where we discussed about the multipolar Asia and India-China disputes, what steps have been taken by India, what steps have been taken by India, what are the issues and challenges about the China. Then we have also discussed Afghanistan. So this is all in general, every detail has been given in the PDF. Selectively you can read, the information is too much, so you can refer to it selectively. So this was about the Indo and the Indo close neighbors, the India and its neighborhood and the major policies. So this was of the part of 120 plus club. India and its neighborhood has been done. Further we will go and we'll see the data fact sheet that has been required. So till now, and then we'll go with the bilateral, the second topic. In the next class, I'll be starting with the second topic, and we'll also see the fact sheet of India and its major relations with other country, which is very important for Mains 2026. So we will also see those fact sheet. So till now, this topic, that is the topic of India and its neighbor, and all the major issues has been covered. The content is there in the PDF in the book. If anyone who needs the Do Not Miss series, you can directly call to WhatsApp on the number, and then you can ask for your copy. Okay. So again, I am concluding this session. I am concluding this session here with you, and in the next session we'll start with the datas, fact sheets, etc. Thank you so much, and keep working hard, and I'll meet you in the next video. Till then, keep revising and keep working hard. Thank you, students. Thanking you from the IAS Bharat. You can get this session on YouTube, freely available on YouTube by IAS Bharat, Aram IAS Academy. Thank you once again.